Hey everyone, today I'll be showing you how to make some super cute resin pieces such as these ones shown here. To make your very own resin piece, you're going to need some resin and hardener. You can get these at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. You're also going to need a paper towel so you can clean up after you do your resin, and also during sometimes. You're also going to need some sort of cup to stir your resin in. I recommend using the thin plastic ones that are kind of short, like that you serve punch in, because these are going to be easier to bend so that you can pour your resin. You're also going to need some sort of spoon or something to stir your resin with. You can use a spoon, a fork, or a popsicle stick. You're also going to need some disposable gloves. And for tutorial purpose, I'm not going to use these gloves, but I always use them when I'm not filming. Like when I'm normally just doing resin, I always use the gloves. You're also going to need some molds. So if you don't have normal like resin molds, you might want to try silicone molds, but I'm not sure how those work. I haven't tried them, but you can get these kind of molds at Etsy. And I believe these molds are made out of resin themselves also. So here I have some heart ones, I have some bow ones, and I have some oval ones. And depending on the mold that you use, also depends on the shape of your piece. So the heart ones would make a heart resin piece, etc. You're also going to need some stickers. So here are some ideas for the kind of stickers that you can use. You use these in your resin pieces so that you have like an image inside the piece. So here's some Sentimental Circus ones, some Mamagoma ones. So you can use kawaii characters, or you can use food. So I have some macarons. Or you can go with kind of realistic pieces. So you can get leaves or snowflakes, something of that sort. You're also going to need some rhinestones or pearls, and this is for after you make your resin pieces if you want to add some on top. I usually don't, but some people like to add rhinestones on top of their pieces. Various types of glitter. So depending on the look that you're going for, that determines what kind of glitter that you're going to need. So this is some finely gridded kind of glitter, and it's by Martha Stewart. It's the iridescent type. And I find that Martha Stewart looks really pretty, but you can use any kind of brand that you want. You're also going to need some sequin kind of glitter. That is if you want to have little chunks of a shape showing in your creation. So this is just the Recollections Purple Daisies. If you want to create an icicle kind of effect, you're going to need some cellophane glitter or cello glitter, which just comes in a bottle like this. If you want to create a gold kind of effect, you're going to need some gold glitter. And this can be any kind of gold glitter, which is why I didn't show it. And lastly, if you want to have some sprinkles in your piece, you're just going to need to get some rainbow sprinkles. So I usually use the Wilton ones, but you can use any kind that you'd like. And when you add the sprinkles, just make sure that you don't pile them up too high because you want the resin to still cover the back of it. Otherwise, you can always dome the back, but I just recommend to keep it kind of flat to begin with because you don't want insects getting into your pieces. With the layer of resin, it'll protect your piece from getting insects inside it. You're also going to need some sort of glaze. This is polyurethane, and you can get this at any hardware store or Amazon. And then you're also going to need a brush, but just make sure to dedicate that specific brush to glazing because the glaze will ruin the brush to some extent. And make sure you get a thick kind of brush because it'll be much easier to glaze your resin charms. If you don't have polyurethane glaze, you can also use triple thick or resin. I also forgot to mention that you're going to need to use some toothpicks. So what you're going to start off by doing is pouring your hardener. So I recommend using the cap to measure. And then you're just going to pour it into your cup. Depending on how many pieces you're planning to make, that's how much hardener and resin you need to pour. but it's always in a 1-to-1 ratio, so half of each. And always pour the hardener first. After you pour in your hardener, you're going to go ahead and pour in your resin. So you're going to go ahead and pour that into the lid. Once you do that, you're going to go ahead and take your paper towel and you're going to wipe off the tops of the containers. So I'm just taking my paper towel and I'm just wiping off the top of the containers, both the resin and the hardener. You're also going to need to wipe off the inside of the caps. This is very important. Once you've done that, go ahead and take your spoon and start stirring in a clockwise motion. You can also stir counterclockwise, doesn't really matter, but I like to stir clockwise and then counterclockwise so that everything gets incorporated. So see how it's kind of getting cloudy? What you want to do is keep stirring until it's not cloudy anymore. So I'll show you guys what it's supposed to look like. So your resin should basically look clear like this. And what you're going to do now is take your mold. In my case, I'm going to use the heart mold. And you're going to take your resin filled cup. And you're going to just pour it into the mold. So like I mentioned earlier, you're going to need to flex the edges, but don't push it too far because you don't want it to break. And then you're going to just pour it into the mold. Keep pouring and get out the extra resin using your spoon. You're going to need to fill the resin about 3/4 into the mold. Next, what we're going to do is play the waiting game. We're going to go ahead and take our toothpick and stick it in the resin. As you can see, it easily comes out of the resin. We're going to need to wait until we reach a point where the toothpick gets stuck to the resin when we stick it in. So it just lightly gets stuck. So I'm going to show you guys what that should look like. And usually that happens after about an hour of waiting. But I recommend checking after 45 minutes, 50 minutes, because if it becomes too tacky, it will become difficult to put the stickers and glitter in.